Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like your reflection went quiet? Not disagreeing and not agreeing, just silent. As if the hair you once loved, the one you gently brushed every morning, the one that used to feel like you, no longer mirrors the woman you've grown into. Not because you're no longer beautiful, but because that beauty has shifted, deeper, richer, while your hair seems to be stuck somewhere in the past. After 50, your hair begins to write new chapters. Thinner, softer, turning silver, sometimes unruly in ways it never used to be. So you try. You search for trendy hairstyles online, but they seem made for someone else entirely, someone with thick, glossy hair, a face untouched by sleepless nights, a body that hasn't known childbirth or grief. And slowly you begin to accept but not fully embrace. Just like Linda, 64 years old, who wore her hair long for 25 years because, in her words, "I didn't know where to start." Until one day she cut it all off and quietly said, "I don't feel younger, I just feel like I came back to myself." This video doesn't promise a miracle that makes you look 30 again. What it offers is something softer, a gentle mirror, one that helps you see yourself again truly. With 6 thoughtfully chosen hairstyles, tested and worn by women who have walked through decades of storms and still carry a glow that doesn't need to shout. And maybe with just one well-placed snip, you'll look up and smile. Yes, that's me, I'm still here. Now let's begin. Style 1, soft side bangs. Like a gentle breeze embracing the tender years. This is the kind of hairstyle that doesn't need grand gestures or loud declarations, just a soft sweep across the cheek like time itself whispering something gentle in your ear. Soft side bangs, those delicately feathered, side-swept strands, are exactly that. Like a tender hug for a face that has weathered many seasons, this fringe doesn't try to make you look young. Instead, it softens, warms, and brings your beauty fully into the now. After 60, we're no longer chasing trends. We're seeking something far more valuable, the feeling of being truly ourselves. And sometimes a small change in the fringe, something that seems almost too simple, can gently awaken a softer, more confident version of the woman within. Soft bangs offer a kind of quiet magic. They fall lightly, slightly to one side of the forehead, gently softening the appearance of fine lines or areas where the skin may no longer be as firm. But here's the beauty: they don't conceal in a way that hides. They caress. They ease the gaze, soften the brow, and bathe the face in the kind of glow you might find in the golden hush of sunset. This kind of fringe should be shaped with great subtlety, almost to the point of being invisible in its design. The front section is finely trimmed in a feathered or curtain style, meaning it falls naturally toward both cheekbones, never blunt, never heavy. The ideal length is somewhere between the mid-forehead and the top of the cheek, gently hugging the contours of your face with elegant ease. If your hair is thinning or your forehead feels a bit wide, this fringe is especially forgiving. It doesn't need to cover everything, just enough to fall in place at the right moment with the right lightness. Enough to create a point of interest while still letting the light shine through. You can tell your stylist something like this: "I'd love something light and airy, not thick, not blunt." Maybe something like curtain bangs or a feathered fringe that softly parts to the sides and frames the cheeks, something I can sweep slightly to the side depending on how I feel. Not everyone feels ready for bangs at this stage of life, that's just the truth. But sometimes, doing something you used to shy away from is exactly what brings you back to life. Not back in time, but back into the present. Janice, 67, from a small town in Vermont, shared this after trying bangs for the first time. "I always thought I was too old for this. I was afraid I'd look silly. I worried my thinning hair would stand out even more, but my granddaughter, she's studying fashion design, encouraged me to try. And when I saw myself in the mirror, with that fringe falling gently across my cheek, I didn't see anyone younger. I saw someone softer, like someone had touched me with a kiss of quiet confidence." Soft side bangs may not be the answer for everyone, but if you've ever found yourself wondering, is there a small change that might help me feel a little renewed, the answer might just be in those soft, side-swept strands. Not loud, not forced. Just enough to make you smile at your own reflection and think, "I'm still beautiful, in a way that's entirely my own." Style 2, the elegant bob. Like a clean line that gently brings you back to yourself. The elegant bob is more than just a haircut, it's like folding away the weight of the years, so you can walk lightly back into the woman you are today. Not too long, not too short, it's a contour that softly hugs the neck, as refined as a silk scarf on an autumn afternoon. Understated, yet striking enough to make heads turn without even trying. This hairstyle isn't just a matter of taste, it's a quiet statement. A declaration that elegance after 60 doesn't need embellishment. The elegant bob embodies that effortless grace. It gives the illusion of fuller hair, a subtle gift, especially when hair begins to thin with time. Its defined lines highlight your bone structure, but never in a harsh way, because the cut is always softened to follow the natural curve of the neck. The ideal length should be adjusted to your neckline. If your neck is long and slender, go for a bob that hits the collarbone. It adds a touch of regal grace. If your neck is shorter or rounder, opt for a length just below the jawline. It will visually elongate your silhouette. Modern bob techniques have evolved far from the rigid, boxy cuts of the 60s. Today's elegant bobs for mature women often feature invisible layers, internal texturing that creates movement and lightness while still maintaining a clean silhouette. And if your hair has a soft, natural wave, this cut may feel like your soulmate. It doesn't force you to flatten or fight your texture. Instead, it invites it to show up gently, truly as it is. You might tell your stylist something like, "I'd like a bob that sits just below the jaw or collarbone, following the shape of my neck. Not bulky, but with internal layering so the hair moves freely. I want it to feel light and clean, but not stiff or severe." But perhaps the most important gift this bob brings isn't in the precision of the scissors. It's in the feeling that follows: relief, freedom from the unnecessary in your hair and maybe even in your heart. Linda, 64, had worn long hair for over 3 decades. With every trim, she barely dared to cut more than an inch. Because, as she put it, long hair was part of how people recognized me. But one day, after seeing a photo of herself at a party, she whispered, "I didn't recognize the woman in that picture." That long hair, it kept me tied to a version of myself that no longer felt true. So she walked into a salon and asked for a jaw-length bob. When the mirror turned back to her, she laughed. "I feel like I've been unchained." The elegant bob won't make you look 20 years younger, but it just might help you let go of what no longer serves you and carry forward only what still feels right. Your grace, your clarity, your unmistakable presence. Style 3, the pixie cut. Like a breath of morning air, weightless and brave, the pixie cut isn't just about changing how you look. It's a quiet yet powerful step toward coming home to yourself. Like that first breeze of early autumn brushing past the porch, so light you almost don't feel it, and yet it leaves you with a deep sense of freedom. As our bodies age, each strand of hair becomes more precious. Mornings become simpler, priorities shift. And the pixie is no longer seen as a bold move. It becomes a beautiful answer. A solution that feels light, liberated, and deeply at ease. For women with thinning or fine hair, or simply tired of the constant styling battle, the pixie whispers, you don't have to fight your hair anymore. You can let go and still be stunning in your own way. The pixie lifts the face, opens the gaze, and brings attention back to features we may have forgotten to cherish: the bridge of the nose, the curve of the cheek, the light in your eyes. With the hair trimmed closely at the nape and sides, your face becomes the centerpiece. Not in a loud way, but through the kind of minimalism that makes every precious detail shine. And despite what some might think, the pixie isn't a one-size-fits-all cut. For mature women, you can opt for a softer variation, keeping some length in the front. This is often called a long pixie or pixie with side-swept fringe. The crown should be lightly layered to add fullness, while the sides are gently tapered. Not shaved, to keep that touch of femininity intact. You might tell your stylist something like, "I'd love a pixie that isn't too short. With longer bangs, I can sweep them to the side." Light layering at the crown for volume, and neatly trimmed sides and back, but not too tight. I want it to feel soft and clean, but not sharp or edgy. But beyond all the styling and shape, what this cut gives is something harder to describe: a sense of release. No more blow-drying, curling, or coaxing your hair to behave. No more wondering every morning, what do I do with this today? Just a few minutes, a touch of styling cream or soft wax, and you're ready to meet your day fully present. Sharon, 62, from Santa Fe, lives with arthritis. Blow-drying became a painful chore, and slowly she found herself hesitating to leave the house. Until one early spring afternoon, she walked into a salon and for the first time in her life said, "Cut it short, really short." She chose a pixie with soft, side-swept bangs and light layers at the crown to add volume. When the mirror turned back to her, Sharon didn't cry. She simply looked at herself and said without hesitation, "I don't feel like I lost my softness. I feel clearer." The pixie cut isn't for everyone, it's for those who are ready. It's a quiet statement that doesn't need to be spoken. I'm not afraid of looking different. I'm more afraid of clinging to a version of me that no longer feels true. And sometimes, when you dare to step away from the familiar, you'll find that the real you, the one who's been waiting, was just on the other side of a clean, simple cut. Style 4, the soft shag. like a gentle cloud floating freely over a once-structured crown. The soft shag is a haircut for those days when you just want to let your hair be loose, unbothered, and quietly rebellious, much like your soul after decades of strength and striving. It's not polished. It's not rigid. It asks nothing of you. Like a soft cloud drifting above, it carries its own kind of beauty, fluid, free, and full of movement. After 60, hair no longer carries the same volume or bounce it once had. It may gray, it may thin, and it may feel like it's lost some of its life. But the soft shag doesn't fight those changes. In fact, it embraces them and turns them into something quietly radiant. This cut feels like a style that breathes. The layers fall gently, starting from the crown and cascading downward, creating the kind of motion that looks like wind brushing through your hair. For hair with a soft wave, or silver strands beginning to take center stage, the soft shag is an ideal choice. It brings your hair back to life without forcing it into shape. Each layer catches the light in a different way, making the gray appear luminous and warm rather than dull. Your face, in turn, softens, not because it's trying, but because it's finally allowed to relax. The technique behind the soft shag is refreshingly forgiving. There's no demand for rigid precision, and that's what sets it apart. You might simply tell your stylist, "I'd love a light shag with soft, layered movement from the crown downward, nothing too short. I don't want to style it every morning. I want it to move freely, not fall into stiff shapes. All it takes is a touch of mousse at the roots for volume, and a bit of light wax at the ends for shape, and you're ready to walk out the door refreshed and real. No blow dryers, no rollers, no chasing perfection, and that in itself becomes the beauty. But the true magic of the soft shag doesn't lie just in how it's cut. It lies in how it makes you feel afterward, a sense of lightness, a quiet self-acceptance, a new belief that maybe you don't need fixing. Maybe you just need permission to be fully, truly yourself. Kathleen, 59, once tried everything to hide her graying hair, coloring, curling, straightening, hoping it would help her look younger, but nothing ever felt quite right. Then one day, her stylist suggested a soft shag with layers that gently framed her face and fell around her jaw. Kathleen said yes, and the result, I used to hate my gray hair, it looked flat and lifeless to me. But when I looked in the mirror after the cut, it felt like light was coming from inside me, not from the hair, from how I felt. The soft shag doesn't promise perfection, but it gives you something rare, room to breathe. And in a world that constantly demands neatness, polish, and control, to be slightly undone, completely authentic, and gently free might just be the most beautiful thing of all. Style 5. Mid-length invisible layers. Like a gentle breeze stirring the corners of a face that has weathered time. Mid-length invisible layers, a cut that doesn't try to change who you are, but simply grazes you, lifts you gently, and lets you shine in a way that feels completely your own. It's like a soft breeze that moves through your hair just enough, not dramatic, not loud, but enough to make you feel something shifting, softer, more natural, and quietly alive. This is the kind of haircut for women who have worn their hair long for years, maybe even decades, but who sense it's time for a shift, not to become someone else, but to step into a lighter, fresher version of themselves. This style offers a rare sense of balance. It's long enough to keep that unmistakable femininity, but not so heavy that it drags the face downward or adds a sense of tiredness. Thanks to the artful shaping of hidden internal layers. What stylists call invisible layers, the hair moves with a natural flow, with body and softness that doesn't feel chopped or overly thinned. From the outside, those layers are barely noticeable, but underneath they lift the roots subtly, brighten the face, and flatter the jawline and cheekbones in a quiet, elegant way. For women with thicker or denser hair, this is the perfect way to let your hair breathe without sacrificing fullness or shape. Technically, this cut works best at shoulder length or just a bit beyond. You can describe it to your stylist like this: I'd like to keep my hair at a medium length around the shoulders or slightly longer. I want invisible layers cut inside the body of the hair to add natural movement, but I don't want it to be thinned out. I'd love a little lift at the crown to brighten and soften my face. This style holds a quiet kind of emotion, one for women who aren't ready to chop it all off as a sign of letting go, but who are ready for some kind of transition. Nothing rushed, nothing extreme, just a gentle evolution enough to feel a sense of renewal, not younger but lighter, brighter, freer in their own skin. Teresa, a 63-year-old art teacher in Portland, had worn her hair down to her waist for nearly 30 years. She said that her long hair had become part habit, part memory. But recently, she began to feel it no longer reflected the woman she is today. One afternoon, while accompanying her daughter to the salon, A stylist suggested trying a mid-length cut with invisible layers, no drastic change, no heavy trimming through the body of the hair. Teresa hesitated, then said yes. When she stepped down from the chair and looked into the mirror, she whispered, "I'm still me, but I feel lighter. Like someone lifted a weight not from my hair, but from my mind." Mid-length invisible layers don't ask you to reinvent yourself. They simply invite you to let go just a little, to soften, to move, to come closer to the woman you've grown into in all the quiet, luminous beauty of your maturity. Style 6, face framing layers, like a gentle curtain drawing light toward a weathered, beautiful face. Face framing layers are soft strands that fall delicately around the face, touching something deeper than just the surface. As if they instinctively know where to lift, where to soften, and where to let the light gently land. They don't demand attention. They don't shout transformation. They simply guide the gaze quietly, lovingly, toward the most beautiful places. Eyes that still carry laughter, cheeks that have held years of feeling, and a smile that still holds the soft glow of youth. There's something quietly transformative about this style. It brightens the central part of your face, right where others tend to look first. The layers typically begin around the cheekbones and fall softly toward the jaw, creating the feeling of a curtain drawn back with care, revealing beauty that's always been there. Features you may have once been self-conscious about. A softening jawline, cheeks that have lost a little firmness are gently reframed. Not hidden but illuminated, not erased but tenderly honored by the way the light meets them. Face framing layers can be beautifully customized. If you have prominent cheekbones, your stylist might start the layering right at that point, cascading down to the chin in fluid lines. If you want more movement and softness, try adding curtain bangs, parted gently in the center. They fall like ribbons on either side of the face. For thicker hair, internal or invisible layering can be used to reduce bulk while maintaining fullness. For thinner hair, soft, airy layers brighten the face without sacrificing body. This is the kind of haircut that makes many women, for the first time in years, feel like looking at themselves in the mirror again. Not because it makes them look 30, but because it brings back something quietly powerful. A sense of ease, a quiet confidence, a natural glow that time may dim but never takes away. Margaret, 61, once shared that after turning 58, she stopped enjoying having her picture taken. "I always felt like my face was drooping. I looked sad in every photo," she said. Then for her 60th birthday, her daughter booked her a salon appointment. The stylist recommended a soft face framing style, layers starting from the cheeks, paired with center-parted curtain bangs. When Margaret looked in the mirror after the cut, she was silent for a few seconds. Then she smiled, a quiet, gentle smile. "It's like someone turned on a light and the light was coming from my hair." From that day forward, she stopped avoiding the camera. She started taking more photos, smiling more freely, not to prove anything to anyone, but simply because she felt at ease being herself again. And if you've made it this far in the video, perhaps the most beautiful thing a haircut can offer isn't making you look younger. It's helping you feel like you've come home, back to yourself. To the woman who has walked through countless seasons and still shines quietly and gracefully, you don't need to chase youth. You just need a haircut that lets you exhale, that lightens your spirit. A haircut that understands the face you already have, that honors the eyes that have witnessed so many autumns, and the skin that may no longer be smooth but still holds its own kind of beauty. If you're ready for a change, start with something small, a trim at just the right time every 6 to 8 weeks. A sulfate-free shampoo, gentle like early morning rain. And most importantly, a stylist who doesn't just hold the scissors well, but who listens. Who understands that what you're really seeking isn't a new look, but a part of yourself that's been quietly waiting to be seen again. If today you saw a part of yourself in these stories, leave a comment. "I still shine." It's a phrase that doesn't shout but carries all the confidence a seasoned woman holds in her bones. And I believe you are still shining in your own way, in your own light. If you want to continue this journey with us, where time doesn't dull beauty but deepens it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Timeless Women Over 50. You don't need to chase youth. You only need to let your beauty breathe again. And sometimes all it takes is the right haircut to begin.